Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for this reactor session. Before we start, I have a few quick things to go over. Please ask your questions using the live chat. You should see a text box. You should see an icon with two text boxes with a question mark over the top one, and that is the live event Q&A. In that chat, I will also be sharing some links to the Reactor meetup pages and monthly newsletter if you are interested in checking out what other sessions we have. Today's session is being recorded and will be on the Reactor YouTube page. I will share a link to that shortly. And finally, I will share a link to our Reactor survey. If you have a few minutes, we greatly appreciate your feedback. I will now pass it over to Nick.
How's it going, Reactor? Super big thanks to Dion and Shauna for the opportunity to talk to you a little bit today about storytelling. So effectively sharing mixed reality is going to be a huge challenge. I have ran into this a million times and luckily found a couple things that work. And so today we'll talk a little bit about a pragmatic approach to fabricating and kind of putting together, conjuring up that story, if you will. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. I'll give you a little bit of context of myself. I am a IT specialist, innovation mentor. Without getting too far down that rabbit hole, my job is to help foster innovative ideas, to nurture them to a solid business solution. And mixed reality was an effort that we started in 2018 and was actually denied its its success for 2 years before it came to fruition. So keep that in mind as we talk about how to develop these stories and bring them to light and give them to your executive team. Understand that success isn't always the check that lands in your hand. The first thing I want to talk about is understanding mixed reality. I think Alice said it best, probably, when she said it's the deepest rabbit hole I've ever encountered. When we talk about mixed reality, it's easy, especially if you are on the dev side or if you're on the use side, and you're the person using the HoloLens. It's easy to get lost down this huge rabbit hole in things like remote rendering and Unity and Unreal and the Microsoft Toolkit. There are so many tangents that we could get lost on when we're talking about getting money for our project, so that we can put together all kinds of fun stuff and work in mixed reality. We need to make sure that our understanding that we have a baseline for mixed reality. So here are some things that I can tell you that you will experience. So the common thought about mixed reality, because we still are relatively on the front edge of this, at least from I would say in an enterprise level, there aren't very many businesses that have a good education about mixed reality. So some of the common thoughts, it's a video game platform. I would say 9 times out of 10, anyone with a 3-letter acronym as a job title is probably going to have limited exposure to mixed reality. And it's probably going to be in the form of like 6 kids at a mall wearing a HoloLens or some virtual reality device on their head playing a video game. So you're going to have to combat that. So just make sure that you're aware. Now, misunderstandings about mixed reality. Most of those high-level stakeholders aren't going to know the difference between virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality. Nor do they. I won't say they don't care either, but it's almost irrelevant when you're trying to fab that story. It's also important that we make sure that we fill in the gaps. So there's going to be a lot of gray area when we talk about fashioning up that business case. There's just a lot of stuff that people don't know about mixed reality. They probably won't for a couple more years. You know, I definitely think there's a big shift happening. But it's going to take a little while to educate, especially in the big enterprise, the big monolithic, slow-moving businesses. And another thing that's important to remember, a lot of the times you're going to get, well, we're not a software company. Now, I can tell you this because from personal experience, the industry I work in is transportation. And so when we talk about, building things like rail cars, a lot of the pushback I get is, well, we're not a software company. Why are we exploring or mixed reality? So the one thing I want you to take away from this is these executive level stakeholders are going to be summarizers. They get a contextual understanding of your project, and if you are a person who pitches projects or a program manager, you know this. These stakeholders summarize the information and then make a decision based off of what they're able to put together. So teach them from scratch. So remove whatever orthodox that they may have about mixed reality and give them a good foundation when you start to work on pitching your project or your idea to that group. I think Puff Daddy said it's all about the benefits, baby. And I think that was after his first sales class. It's so true though. It is the notorious problem for all of us people who are technology friendly. We sell features instead of the benefits, and that's a huge obstacle that I would encourage everyone to pay attention to. It will be the bane of your existence when it comes to mixed reality. So here's what we're going to talk about for the sales 101. The first and foremost, and one of the most important things, I have a problem with this. Temper your excitement. It's the worst. It's so difficult because all of this stuff is really exciting. When the first time that you open up Microsoft Guides and you get a model to move and the animations are working and Guides turns into this ultra powerful, just amazing tool, it's easy to get excited. In this forum, though, when you're asking for people to invest, company money in a project that you're working on in mixed reality, you have to temper that excitement. Your excitement can actually hurt when you present because it makes it seem, or that perception is that you're on fire about it. And what do a lot of people do when they're excited about things? They tend to oversell. So our COOs and our CEOs are very intelligent people, and so they read into that a bit. So temper your excitement. Application, not apps. This point is on there because it's not about the cool apps. Today, I'm actually in St. Louis doing a presentation for another division of our family of businesses, and I was showing an application. RS, a little shout out to our friends over at HoloLight, the augmented reality engineering space, and it's showing some of those capabilities. But it was the capability, the concept that we were sharing. It's how we apply the technology, not the actual application. So keep that in mind when you're starting to get your project on paper. Work comparisons. This is one of my favorite things to do. We call them innovation visits, but we learn from the people around us. So Bosch Rexroth and Granger are neighbors to my facility in Greenville, South Carolina, and I have learned a tremendous amount just by going and visiting and talking to them. So when you start to build your sales case, go and learn from them and let them give you that intimate story about how they have done some of the things that you're striving to do. It's more relatable, it's tangible, it's something that's a little more at home. And so it looks good when you put that together. The last part about sales is be intentional. Have a plan for what you're doing. And when I say that, I don't want anyone to walk into a meeting and say, "Hey, we need mixed reality. We need a HoloLens." That's not going to land. You need to say, "I need a HoloLens. This is what I'm going to do with it. It's going to take this long to get everybody warmed up. We got content that we have to create and this and that." Be intentional. have a good plan, and make mixed reality a concept. Have a whole plan for that concept. Now let's talk a little bit about mediums. So when I say medium, I don't mean future telling. I mean the way that we deliver the story. First and foremost, you cannot share mixed reality on flat media. I don't care if you are a wonderful Photoshopper, it will not convey its impact on flat media. So don't print it off, don't show pictures. It's not going to be a thing. Experience is the gold egg. So if you can do anything, and I am telling you this from personal experience, I just put an XR10 HoloLens on our COO yesterday, and he was just flabbergasted about how much different all of the videos that he's seen, all of the, the reports and presentations that I've done, but to experience it, it is just a whole world of difference. So experience is what you want to get to. When you pitch this idea, you want to make sure that you get as many people to wear a HoloLens as possible. That's not always possible, right? It's almost implausible to think that we could ship 30 or 40 HoloLenses to do a demo. But what you can do is use video as your workhorse and leverage 1 or 2 HoloLens for those key stakeholders, which has turned out to be pretty successful, at least in my experience up to this point. Now, I will say this is not a lecture technology, so you can't sit and explain mixed reality. You can tell people about it, of course, but it just doesn't land. I wish that it did. It would make things so much more easy, but if we're being realistic, it just doesn't. You have to get people to experience it. Okay, so we'll take a couple seconds if anyone has any questions, and go ahead and drop them in the Q&A. We'll give Dion an opportunity to share some of those. If you have any questions about the first couple things we touched on, so understanding mixed reality, sales, and how we sell it, the mediums in which we share it on, go ahead and ask those questions. We'll wait a couple minutes here, and then or a minute or two, and then we'll get rolling through the how-to.
Perfect. So we do have a question from Jake. It said, is there a standard definition you would give the CEO, CTO, CFO about what mixed reality is? What is the best way to summarize?
That's a good question. The way that I summarize extended reality, mixed reality, however you want to term it, it is using a new modality, so a new medium, to take the information that we know commonly as our documents, our photos, our images, and we're going to put it in a fashion that is another layer of your own reality. If you really think about go all the way back to 1995 with Nintendo's Virtual Boy, augmented reality has been here forever. But if you, I'll use the example of manufacturing. If you use the definition of, relate to a Snapchat filter, and I use this all the time. Tell them it's the same thing as a Snapchat filter, but what if I could display to you business relevant information? Thanks for the question, Jake.
And then we have another question that just came in that says, what are the most common industries already primed for MR?
I think, at least in my experience up to this point, manufacturing is one of those places that is just on point. And I say that because Industry 4.0, and I know that's a buzz term, but it very much is focused on getting data and then delivering that data to people. and how do you make the data useful? So your analytics, your manufacturing execution systems, your ERPs, all of those things combined have a lot of value. It's the delivery that's the challenging part. And when we talk about mixed reality gives you a new modality to share the information. And so for me, now I'm a little bit biased because I also work in manufacturing, but I think that industry is just prime and ready to go. I mean, if you look at some of the case studies from Mercedes, it's wild how much efficiency you can infuse into their already really good controlled process just by leveraging mixed reality.
Awesome, thank you. That is all the questions for now.
Cool. Well, let's roll into the how-to, right? So we'll put some meat on the bones here. So here's my recipe for a good story. This is absolutely loose. These are the things that you have to have, though. You have to have a story. You have to be able to capture your story. You're going to need to produce it, because if you don't, it's going to look very hodgepodge. The difference between being successful in this space and doing some work in this space is the production element. You're going to have to edit, and you're going to need multiple perspectives. And we'll talk a little bit about what each of those mean. So the first one I want to talk about is perspective. So I'm sure everyone has seen this as you went through grade school. I'm not insulting anyone's intelligence here, but these aren't things that we use all the time. And we need to leverage these effectively if we want to deliver that clarity about mixed reality. So first person perspective. In this context, we're going to say I am the user wearing the HoloLens, right? So the pink monster. Second, you are wearing the HoloLens and I'm helping you, right? So in this context, Microsoft calls this the technician. So this is the person on Teams in a remote assist call helping out Pink Monster. Third, this is the narrator. This is me explaining to you what the technician and the user are doing. So green guy. For production, this is not a roadmap. This is probably the most difficult thing to nail down. I work for a productions company in Columbus, Ohio, and what I learned from our producers there was invaluable, just in general, as a professional at any level. Write a script. I mean, this is such a valuable slide here. Write a script. Have an idea of exactly how you want things to work. You have to hire quality actors, right? So you might have Jim Bob, and Jim Bob might be the most effective HoloLens user you have, but if he has no personality in your story, in your video, he is not going to be an asset to you. So hire quality actors. 5S. If you're in manufacturing, 5S is a principle of existence. Clean up everywhere where you're going to shoot. Make sure that if you have people doing a specific job, make sure you let everyone know, make sure they're aware so that they can wear something nice, or at least be presentable, so that when you do begin to record a video, in this example, that those people all are going to add to the value of your video. Imperfection is perfection. If you go in and you make a video that is ridiculously polished and just perfect in all aspects, it almost takes away from its authenticity. You need it to be just imperfect enough so that people can relate to it. So just keep that in mind as we continue to talk about these things. Learn from others. Here it is again, right? So those visits, those go and talk to people. If you are pitching a project, go and talk to other PMs. Find out what those relationships look like. Some people are going to be hardliners on something, and some probably not. But go and learn from those people. Your angles in capturing mixed reality are important as well. And I don't mean angles like have the camera high or have the camera low. It's you're going to need that intangible understanding of how it's going to be perceived. Lighting is important. This is just a general production thing when we talk about videos. And don't be afraid to take multiple takes. Typically, when I edit something together that's going to go and be in front of a group of people, it is a combination of probably 4 or 5 different takes, and then rinse and repeat. So go back and iterate through these things over and over. Just very similar to Agile. Now, capturing mixed reality. You see the brackets. It's everything inside of it. What I like to tell people is that there is no de facto standard process for capturing mixed reality. It's whatever medium just happens to be there when you and it captures it the best for that moment. I will tell you, remote assist is a fun one to capture. There's a lot of stuff that just captures it by itself, but without the alternative perspective from the technician side or from even the third person for remote assist, it makes it difficult to understand what's happening. So when we talk about capturing mixed reality, you need to understand that there's a couple levels. So remote assist, while as the user, is going to be captured through the device portal or on the device with its integrated video capture. The third person perspective is going to be captured with a GoPro or an iPhone. And then the second person perspective can be captured 2 ways. It can be captured from a team session where you simply record the meeting or the remote assist session, or you can record your screen and it'll show a little bit more about how you're clicking on the annotation buttons and such. So a couple different ways to get our video and capture our footage. Editing is a black magic. I don't necessarily have any claim to being good at editing, but thank goodness to YouTube and Wondershare for creating Filmora. The nice part is that we can take lots of video and chop them up and use a lot of pre-built stuff to increase the production quality of our videos. So Adobe Premiere, Filmora's or Wondershare's Filmora, excuse me. All these tools are relatively inexpensive, and rather than just having the hard chop in between scenes, we can use things like transitions and effects to make the movie way more engaging. So I wish I could explain to you the impact, but think about a C-list movie on Netflix, because we have all watched a C-list movie on Netflix and have just been like, oh, this is tough. And then you go and you watch a blockbuster and you can see the difference. You can see the quality editing. You can see the production difference. And so it's really important to become proficient with a utility like Filmora. Some things that I will share: if you are going to be editing your own videos, come up with a standard set of settings. YouTube, again, will be your best buddy for figuring these things out, but you're going to want consistency so that when people go and they view your videos or your story, that they have some consistency. It'll make them more comfortable when they are viewing those. All right, so let's talk a little bit about some examples. So for remote assist, if you have seen, Microsoft does a fantastic job, by the way. If you need to share a lot of this, you can use 99% of the stock stuff that they have on YouTube will be proficient. The only time that you're going to want to do something yourself is if you need to make it more more your business. If you want to go and show that you can do these things in your own business, that's about the only time that you're really going to need to put together a video. I would encourage you to go and watch those. They are great teachers as well, so you can follow along their same storyline and simply just record enough video and give the same record enough video and pictures to give that same story, just with your own flavor. So let's talk about remote assist. Remote assist is your breadwinner. Remote assist, especially in manufacturing, I wish I could explain to you how impactful it has been. COVID hit, and we are, saving tens of thousands of dollars each month, and avoiding travel costs. And there's so many benefits to being able to use remote assist. This is the one that you're going to want to focus on and hit a home run with. But the easiest way to capture remote assist isn't necessarily to record a remote assist session. When you capture a meeting, it breaks your screen out into like four sections. And it's a little bit tough to really get a good feel. So this is a good recipe for how to put together that story. Start with your perspectives. The first person is going to be your HoloLens wearer, right? So our pink monster. We're going to capture that from the portal. So we're going to open up the main menu in the HoloLens, and we're going to hit the video button, and we're going to start recording. And then once we're inside of a remote assist session. Now you can also do this from the device portal, right? So go to the IP address of your device, and as long as both the computer that you're on the device portal on and your HoloLens are on the same network, you can simply remote into it that way. Do not record the Teams session. So I'll just make that a point again, because it will not be usable, good quality usable video. The second perspective from the technician, capture the screen, not the remote assist session recording from the meeting. So whether it's Windows button and G and you open up the game bar and you record your screen that way, or if you open up Filmora or whatever video editing tool that you have and capture your screen, do so. It will be really, really helpful for the for your stakeholders you're pitching to be able to see that second perspective. And then third, we are going to have the storyteller perspective. So we'll use a GoPro or we'll use an iPhone, and we'll actually film the person doing the work. Now you don't necessarily have to go and capture the video of Jim sitting at his desk as the technician, but you do want to capture the person who is wearing the HoloLens. So here's your script. This is directly from that actual video in the bottom right. Have a problem, call that technician, or vice versa, right? Your technician can call the HoloLens, discuss the problem, and in that step, that discussion, that's where you want to kind of illustrate where the problem can't be solved in a traditional manner, right? Or where you need some remote, where you need additional help, right? Where the mixed reality is going to come in and be beneficial. I like to share a file. Bringing in a PDF into, space and being able to interact with it usually is a pretty good crowd pleaser. And then we're going to do a thing. So it doesn't matter what it is, make it applicable to, whatever kind of space that you're in manufacturing. This is a good example. Maybe I need to pull out one of those drives in that array. And then I'm going to annotate. I'm going to drop an arrow or circle something, and that shows some of the capability of remote assist. I'm going to do another thing, and then we're going to wrap it up. In this section, that last little bit where you do a thing and wrap it up, I'd like to narrate. So I like to have my third perspective and do an audio over that last little bit. For me, it helps bring layer a layer to the video, and it helps, I think, wrap things up so the user is not left trying to put together their own conclusion of your video. Now, I will tell you that the audio from the screen capture is going to be invaluable, and that's because when you record things on the HoloLens, sometimes the audio doesn't come across crystal clear. It's hard to capture audio when you have two people in a call and you're recording the actual meeting. So this is one of those times when if you do record the meeting on top of this perspective stuff that we talked about in the beginning, you can use the audio from the meeting, but you can cut out the video. So just that's a little asterisk, a little editing trick. And again, voiceover at the end. It really is a good element to add. You can do a voiceover at the end or in the beginning or even both, but using narration is a good way to frame things up or set expectations without without actually putting in a hard expectation. Now, remote assist is your bread and butter. Again, hammer on remote assist. It is going to be your ROI. When that works, the rest of the stuff is just frills that you get to experience and share with everyone because remote assistance is working. So for model visualization, first person, this is going to be very similar to the last. We're going to capture from the portal. The second one's going to be your collaborator. So this is the person working with you. And then third person is going to be that storyteller. So we're going to, similar to that bottom image, we're going to show the people doing a thing. Now, when we talk about model visualization or collaboration with Microsoft Mesh, for example, what we want to do is show, this is the one time that we want to, but we probably want to use a HoloLens and capture the video of the two people doing a thing together. And the reason why is that video or that picture that you see down there, that is a good illustration of collaborating in mixed reality, but you can't capture that unless you have a HoloLens on. So these images are really effective at showing how these things work. You just have to be mindful about how you're going to capture them. Now, the script for visualization, we're going to show a user creating a model. So this might be Nancy sitting at her desk and creating this, car that we see in the back image there. We might start there and show her creating this. Then we're going to show her sharing it how we traditionally do that. So right now, we log into our Zoom calls and we show the CAD model. We share it with everyone, and that's it. But as we want to share mixed reality, that's no longer going to be our method. We'll show the old, and then we'll show it to we'll show the new process. So then we're going to maybe move away from Nancy there. We're going to show a person opening up the model in mixed reality, or we'll show them launching Mesh and then some people popping up around them. We're going to take that model, we'll bring it to scale, we'll discuss the model, we'll move it around, and then that image there is that finished product. This is we have been successful in collaborating or visualizing a model. That script is a crowd pleaser. It's relatively easy to do. So another good example that you can put on paper. Narrate this experience. This is not one where the people are going to be talking. This is one where your storyteller talks about what's happening. So fill in the gaps. Don't let your user try to come up with their own understanding of what's happening. Tell them what they are seeing. Now, collaboration is a little bit more advanced in comparison to remote assist. There are, I work with a gentleman out of our Canada office who's a wizard in some of these things, but there are rendering obstacles, there are file size obstacles, there is just a lot. So you're going to want to partner up with somebody when you start to work in the collaboration space. Just a friendly piece of advice. Stress time to value and immersive experiences here. Your time to value is how model visualization is beneficial to the business. A lot of this stuff is going to come across to your big stakeholders, especially your executives, as cool, but not necessarily valuable yet. You need to help them understand that being able to rapidly prototype things, take new products to fruition faster is where their value comes in. So stress that TTV and make sure that they understand where the actual value comes in. The last example I want to give is collaboration in general. So we all know that in this work from home movement that we are in, that everything around us is just changing. It's just going to be different for the rest of our lives. Collaborating is going to be important because we're missing a big element when we, with our work relationships. So collaboration here is a good winner, and I think the timing's right for this. So capture your video from the portal for the user. Your secondary user here, your second perspective, is going to be the person collaborating with, and the storyteller is just essentially going to capture those two people doing a thing. This is going to be similar to your model visualization experience. So the script here: open a mesh or a guide session or a spatial session. If you've ever used spatial, it is a really cool tool. I prefer mesh now. We've done some fun stuff in there, but open up a session of one of those utilities. Upload a relevant model. If you got to use the hermit crab and the jellyfish as an example, then do so. Just make sure you put the HoloLens on the hermit crab. Collaborate about something and then wrap it up. This can be short and this could be sweet, but what we want to do here is we want to show people that even though we're in Canada and the US and Mexico and Russia, we can all still hold a meeting face to face as avatars, and we start to pick up a little bit of that human element that we're missing out on. It goes without saying that this is also exciting. And so people are willing to get in and do these things, and it kind of takes away from the monotony of a 4-hour Zoom call. So some notes about this: narrate the beginning, but then switch to the user audio. Now, again, capturing audio through the HoloLens is going to be a little bit tricky. You might want to have both people in this collaboration session record video, because then you can take both audio tracks and you can cut them and stack them, and as long as they are started and you have to edit them so that they start at the same time, but you can lay them on top of each other and get a really nice crisp audio, and usually that presents pretty well. So show the users working together, and you really want to make sure that you highlight on the human element, so that movements are intuitive, that they can grab a model and it's not some specific hand gesture. They just reach out and snag it, and that's where your third perspective will come in handy. Also, use relatable models. As much as I love the hermit crab, it makes it, the perception is that it's too gamey. Pun intended. It's too much like a video game, and you don't want to accidentally infuse that perception. So use things that are relevant to your business. All right, so let's take a second here, and if you have any questions about the examples, we can flick back if anyone does, or if you have a specific business case and you want or you have a question about how to present it, we'll take some questions in the Q&A.
Perfect. So we have a couple questions that have come in. The First one is, well, let me find it. Okay, again from Jake, how are companies finding integrating mixed reality into their overall workflow? What does the typical timeline look like for that?
So it depends on your workflow and it depends on what you're trying to accomplish. So remote assist is a relatively easy implementation. Once you have the device and licensing, the remote assist is almost as simple as using a Teams call. Now, for some other things like guides, if you want to infuse interactive training, guides is a little bit more involved, and that's simply because you have to author the content. And once the content is created, the use case is relatively easy. You open the HoloLens, launch the device, pick your guide, and then you walk right through it. So it really does depend on what you're using. Mesh right now, I think Mesh is an app preview, and so you launch it just the same as you would Teams. There's really no setup for Mesh. But it's surprisingly, for as complicated, or at least perceived as complicated as this technology is, it's surprisingly easy to use.
Perfect. And then the next question says, I am an IT pro with 15 years of experience. I am excited about MR. What can I do to start a career change into MR?
Well, this is a good one. I will tell you exactly how that works. So I am in the exact same boat. If you want to start a career in extended reality or mixed reality, however it's termed, you just have to start. You have to go grab an Oculus, go grab a HoloLens, go find whatever mixed reality device that you can find and just start searching. There are some really good resources. The XR Bootcamp group on Twitter. You will need a Twitter if you want to be even remotely successful in mixed reality. And reach out to Microsoft. I know that we're in a Microsoft reactor, but I sincerely am telling you that if you want to get a career started there, they will flatten the curve for you and help you get started. They have been one of the most beneficial partners that we have. You're welcome to reach out. There are some specific vendors who have been instrumental in our success at my business, and I'm happy to share those. But really, it's about just going and exploring. Once you show your business remote assist and show them how much money that how you can translate that remote assist benefit into money for your business or cost avoidance, it's going to be hard to tell you that you can't continue to explore that for them.
All right, thank you. And then we have one other question from Jake. What would be some of the practical uses for editing recorded footage from a HoloLens?
Some of the practical uses. There's a couple. Personally, I tell people when they want to record video to go grab to go and grab a GoPro, and I do that because the HoloLens has so much. If we're talking about that device specifically, it has so much potential and benefit by using it for something other than video capture. That I typically like to steer people back to like a GoPro or an iPhone. They have fantastic cameras. When it makes sense to record video from a HoloLens, we like field service is a good business case. So if you are out and about and you need to help a customer do a thing, but you also want to make sure that you can train someone on this unique problem, that's a good time to capture your remote assist session. There are times when you might have a HoloLens and maybe you're doing a guide session, right? And so let's say we're building this widget, and as we go through and get to step 3 or step 4, our guide doesn't match up or something seems a little astray. That's a wonderful time to open up your device portal and grab video so that you can show someone exactly what's happening.
All right, perfect. I think that's all the questions for right now.
Okay, well, so some golden rules about talking about mixed reality in general. Again, temper your excitement. Buzzwords are not your friend, and that's just because there are a plethora of buzzwords when we talk about mixed reality. Super ultra amazing new shiny stuff is scary, especially to the people who you need to write checks or capital for your projects. Don't sell them on the newest big feature in mixed reality. Give them the nuts and bolts, the stuff that's really going to be valuable to them. And again, I want to just touch on this. Imperfection is your friend. So let them know the technology isn't perfect. If mixed reality was absolutely rock solid all the time, when we reached out and touched something in mixed reality, our hand would hit the button every time, but it doesn't. And that's good, right? It gives you a little bit of breathing room when you're putting together your story. So we'll kind of open it up for discussion here. A couple of things that are on here, just to touch base on. Everyone's going to give you that idea, cool, more video games. It's not. You're going to have to work around that. Don't get frustrated by that. It's just going to be a thing. Today, more so than ever before, germs and cleanliness is going to be a concern. We have people who are adverse to anything mixed reality because of that. So it's a good thing to engage with your safety and your health representatives at work, and have a plan for that, and you can share that in your pitch as well. Longevity is lacking. That's a concern because just the space is so fast. When I told you need a Twitter, it's not because I'm not trying to push Twitter on anyone. I'm just saying it moves so quick that if you don't have a Twitter, you'll get left behind. Device creep. There are, I want to say, like probably 15 devices. At least I could just rattle off the top of my head, and they all do something a little bit different. So watch your device creep. See if you can't evaluate a couple of them and then land on something and start to chase down some of the concepts with that device. Building your own apps, be very careful. When I say that things are moving quickly, it's not just the device iterations that are fast, it's the application iteration. So what you don't have right now, and you might spend $30,000 on, or you might go and ask for 30 grand to build this application to achieve this business case. It is very real that in a month somebody will already be creating that app. So just be really mindful. You have to have a home run to build your own app, especially right now. You definitely want a kit. So find some creature comforts. I like the bone conduction headphones from Aftershocks. If you have the hard hat Trimble XR10, those are fantastic, and they allow you to wear PPE. So that's a plus. They're also good for the, being clean and sanitary because they don't go in your ears. But build yourself a little kit with some creature comforts. I like to sell them to our business as a package, like a turnkey solution. And then modality, a buzzword that you can befriend. Modality is a good buzzword. This is probably one in this space that you shouldn't be afraid to use. The modality is the method in which that you deliver the information. And so this is a concept that you want to befriend. You want to use this, you want to explain it to people and let them feel like they know what that means. So I say this all the time. I tell my friend Matt, if we don't start now, we'll be 10 years behind in 3. And so I encourage you, put together a story. Tell people why mixed reality makes sense and why you need it in your business, and get started now. Because even if you are just doing some explorative work, when this big transition and mixed reality becomes a day-to-day part of your diet, you're going to want you and your business to be on the front edge.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So someone was saying, or we had a question asking to share any resources to get involved in MR. Are there any resources or places you would recommend that they check out?
Yeah, artillery. It's artillery. Is just a home run. It's probably the best kept secret, I think. That systems guy on Twitter actually shared that with me. It is a monthly subscription, but they have slide decks, they have metrics, analytics, they have stories, business cases, white paper. I mean, if you are in the beginning stages of putting this together to present to a business, to secure funding, to explore mixed reality, I would almost go as far as say is that it is a required piece of being successful. So artillery, you're going to look for the XR boot camp. That is a community who does all kinds of fun stuff. They were the ones who turned me on to AltSpace, which props to Microsoft for picking up AltSpace. AltSpace is just amazing. But the XR Bootcamp is great. And then go and check out the mixed reality blog and community on Microsoft's website. I did an article over there about bridging the gap, similar to what we're talking about today. And again, when I was talking about Microsoft flattening my learning curve, a lot of it came from there.
Awesome. And then we have another question, and I did share a link to the artillery site, and then I'll share a link to our mixed reality, the Microsoft mixed reality site as well. And while I'm pulling that up, Jake has another question. Is there ever any concern for competition in the AR space moving forward? How long are customers expecting their HoloLens unit to be relevant for?
That's a great question. We took a lot of time to figure that out. And honestly, when we pitched this project, the first time that I showed remote assist was with a HoloLens 1, and it missed the mark a little bit. I think because the HoloLens 1 had been out for a number of years, but it missed something. Something was missing. So what we did was we hung around and waited until the timing was right, and the HoloLens 2 came out. And we really did our device evaluation with that device. I would say you should feel strongly confident that the HoloLens 2 is going to be out there in use for a while. There was I think $22.1 billion contract just signed with the military and HoloLens, which hats off to Microsoft. That's a huge win. But that just goes to show that Microsoft is really invested in the HoloLens device itself. Now, we have other devices as well. We're exploring the Magic Leap. We had a good conversation with them. We're going to check out that device. We have Oculus Quest 2s that we use. But Facebook is already working on the Quest 3 and the Quest 4. So if it's if it's focused on the consumer side, it's going to iterate fast. If it's focused on business, then it's going to iterate slower. That's just kind of the nature of the beast. I think Microsoft's done a fantastic job with the HoloLens 2. I'm a huge fan of that device specifically. It just makes sense for business.
All right, perfect. Well, I think that's it for questions. Is there anything else you want to share before we end today?
Yeah, I'll exit on this. Just remember to tell the story as a human, and you're using technology that's easy and intuitive, and it makes you more efficient or empowered to do your job better. And stay on that concept, because if you're not selling the easy integration and the immediate value add of remote assistance, then you might as well sell a Nintendo 64 to your executive team. Just remember, it's all about the humans.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Nick. And thank you everyone for joining us today. Some really great questions. We've shared a bunch of links in the live event Q&A, so please check those out. And if you do have a few moments, please fill out our reactor survey. We really appreciate the feedback. The first question is going to ask you for the event code, and today's event code is 13179, 13179, and that is in the chat along with the link to the survey. Thank you all so much, and we hope you join us for another session in the future. Thanks, Nick. Have a great day, everyone. All right.